Hello, dear listeners. Today we delve into a story that explores the delicate and often painful complexities of familial relationships. This narrative contains themes of betrayal and inappropriate behavior, but it is told with sensitivity and care. If you are ready to embark on this journey, please remember that the power of stories lies in their ability to foster empathy and understanding. Let us begin. Clara Mitchell sat at her kitchen table, surrounded by a clutter of papers and half-empty coffee mugs. The warm glow of the morning sun streamed through the window, illuminating the dust particles that danced in the air, creating a golden haze around her. The comforting aroma of coffee mingled with the faint scent of vanilla from the candle flickering nearby, casting a warm ambience in her small, cozy home. Despite the tranquility of the scene, Clara's mind raced. She glanced at the clock on the wall, anxiety tightening her chest as it ticked away the minutes. Today marked the launch of a new book at the small bookstore where she worked. It was a big event, one she had organized and one that could define her career. But as she looked at her daughter Emily humming softly in the living room, her heart felt heavy with the weight of unfulfilled dreams. Emily, at 16, was a whirlwind of energy and creativity. Clara often marveled at how her daughter could find magic in the mundane, turning everyday moments into stories filled with adventure and wonder. But lately, Clara had noticed a change in Emily. The bright spark in her eyes had dimmed, replaced by a contemplative shadow that tugged at Clara's heart. She wanted to reach out, to connect, but every time she opened her mouth to speak, the words felt stuck in her throat. As Clara sipped her coffee, she couldn't help but think back to her own childhood, a time when life felt full of possibilities. Growing up in a small town, she had spent countless hours lost in the pages of novels, dreaming of distant lands and heroic quests. But adulthood had brought its own burdens, and now she found herself caught in a cycle of routine and responsibility. The thought of pursuing her own dreams of writing felt like a distant fantasy. That evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Clara prepared for the launch event at the bookstore. She donned a flowing blue dress that hugged her curves, feeling a flutter of excitement mixed with apprehension. The store would be filled with people, friends, colleagues, and strangers, all gathering to celebrate literature. She wanted to shine, to show that she was more than just a single mother juggling responsibilities. At the event, the bookstore was bustling with activity. The sound of laughter and the rustle of pages filled the air, and Clara felt a sense of belonging wash over her. She greeted customers with a warm smile, her passion for books igniting as she discussed the latest releases with fellow literature enthusiasts. But amidst the chatter, Clara's eyes kept drifting to the door, where Daniel Parker stood, his presence commanding yet approachable. He was a new addition to the community, a widower who had moved to town with his teenage daughter Lily. Clara had met him a few times at the bookstore, their conversations filled with shared interests in literature. There was a warmth to him that drew her in, a kindred spirit who understood the beauty and pain of storytelling. As Daniel approached, Clara's heart raced. "You're doing a fantastic job," he said, his smile brightening the room. "This place feels alive." "Thank you," Clara replied, her voice steady despite the flutter in her stomach. "I just hope everyone enjoys the event." Their conversation flowed effortlessly, laughter punctuating their exchanges. Clara felt a connection, a spark of chemistry that sent tingles down her spine. It was unexpected but exhilarating. As the night progressed, they found themselves leaning closer, sharing stories of their pasts, their joys, and their heartaches. The weeks that followed the launch event marked a turning point in Clara's life. The bookstore buzzed with activity, and Clara found herself increasingly drawn to Daniel. They began to spend more time together, organizing book club meetings and discussing literature. Their connection deepened as they shared their dreams and fears, revealing pieces of their souls that had been hidden for too long. One sunny afternoon, they decided to host a picnic at the local park, a chance to escape the busyness of life and simply enjoy each other's company. Clara packed a basket filled with sandwiches, fruit, and a bottle of sparkling lemonade. As they spread out the blanket under a sprawling oak tree, she felt a sense of freedom that had eluded her for years. "Have you ever read The Great Gatsby?" Daniel asked, pouring lemonade into 2 glasses. "Of course. It's one of my favorites," Clara replied, her eyes lighting up. "The way Fitzgerald captures the essence of longing and lost dreams is incredible." They debated the themes and characters, their conversation flowing like a river, weaving through ideas and interpretations. Clara loved how Daniel challenged her thoughts, pushing her to see beyond the surface. Their laughter rang through the park, attracting glances from passers-by who couldn't help but smile at the sight of their joy as the sun dipped lower in the sky, casting a golden hue over the landscape. Clara caught Daniel watching her. His gaze was intense, filled with a warmth that made her heart skip a beat. "You have an incredible way of seeing the world, Clara," he said softly, his voice low and sincere. Heat rushed to Clara's cheeks. "Thank you. I think it's just the influence of all the stories I've read." "No," he said, shaking his head. You bring the stories to life." In that moment Clara felt a shift. It was as if the world around them faded, leaving just the two of them suspended in time. They leaned closer, the air charged with unspoken words. And then, without thinking, Clara reached out, her fingers brushing against his hand. The connection ignited a spark, and for a heartbeat they both held their breath. Just then a voice broke the spell. Emily approached, her expression a mix of surprise and confusion. Clara's heart sank as she pulled her hand back, the moment slipping away like sand through her fingers. "Mom, I didn't know you were here," Emily said, her tone cheerful but her eyes revealing a hint of disappointment. "I was just having a picnic with Daniel," Clara said, trying to keep her voice light. "Oh," Emily replied, a shadow passing over her features. "Can I join you?" Clara exchanged a glance with Daniel, who nodded. "Of course. The more the merrier." As they settled back onto the blanket, Clara couldn't shake the feeling that something precious had been interrupted. Emily chattered away, but Clara's thoughts lingered on the moment that had just passed, the unacknowledged tension that now hung in the air. The next few weeks felt like a delicate balancing act for Clara. She cherished the time spent with Daniel, their friendship blossoming into something deeper. They shared late-night conversations filled with dreams and fears, their connection growing stronger with each passing day. But Clara was also acutely aware of Emily's lingering presence, the way she seemed to navigate the world with a blend of excitement and uncertainty. Emily had recently returned from a summer camp, her demeanor shifting between exuberance and introspection. Clara had hoped that their bond would strengthen, but Emily's growing independence left Clara feeling both proud and anxious. She feared that the more time she spent with Daniel, the more distant Emily might feel. One evening, as Clara tucked Emily into bed, she noticed a stack of notebooks on the bedside table. "What's this?" Clara asked, picking one up. "Oh, just some stuff I've been writing," Emily replied, a hint of shyness in her voice. "Can I read it?" Clara asked, her curiosity piqued. Emily hesitated for a moment before nodding. "Sure, but it's not very good." Clara opened the notebook to reveal a collection of poems and short stories, each page filled with raw emotion and vivid imagery. As she read, Clara's heart swelled with pride. Emily's voice was unique, capturing the essence of her experiences with honesty and depth. It was clear that writing was a form of expression for her, a way to process her feelings. "This is amazing, Em," Clara exclaimed, her voice filled with enthusiasm. "You have a real gift." Emily smiled, the tension in her shoulders easing. "Thanks, Mom. I just write what I feel." That night, Clara found it difficult to sleep. She couldn't shake the feeling that she had stumbled upon something profound, a glimpse into her daughter's soul. Yet she also felt a flicker of fear, the uncertainty of navigating their evolving relationship. As summer wore on, Clara and Daniel's friendship continued to blossom. They became a constant presence in each other's lives, sharing dinners, laughter, and the joy of literature. Clara cherished their moments together, but there was a growing tension she couldn't ignore. Emily had grown quieter, her once bubbly personality overshadowed by a contemplative silence. Clara worried about her daughter, sensing that something was brewing beneath the surface. The bond between Clara and Daniel seemed to shift in Emily's presence, creating an invisible barrier that Clara longed to break down. One evening, while Clara prepared dinner, she overheard Emily talking on the phone with a friend. "Yeah, my mom is always with Daniel now. I feel like I'm losing her," she said, her voice tinged with sadness. Clara's heart sank as she realized just how Emily felt. She had unintentionally placed distance between them, and now her daughter was struggling with feelings of abandonment. That night, Clara decided to have a heart-to-heart with Emily. They sat on the porch under a blanket of stars, the cool night air wrapping around them like a comforting embrace. "Can we talk?" Clara began, her voice gentle. Sure, Mom, Emily replied, her eyes downcast. I've noticed you've seemed a bit distant lately. Is everything okay? Emily took a deep breath, her gaze focused on the ground. I just feel like you're always with Daniel now and I miss spending time with you. Clara's heart broke at her daughter's words. I'm so sorry, honey. I didn't realize you felt that way. You mean the world to me and I don't want you to feel like I'm choosing him over you. Emily looked up, tears glistening in her eyes. I just don't want to lose you, Mom. Clara reached out, wrapping her arms around her daughter. You won't lose me. I promise. We can find a balance. You and I will always have our special time together no matter what. As they sat together, Clara felt a renewed sense of determination. She would make sure Emily felt secure in their relationship, no matter how her own feelings for Daniel evolved. As the summer days stretched on, Clara found herself facing a dilemma. She had grown closer to Daniel, their bond evolving into something she hadn't anticipated, a deep connection that felt both exhilarating and terrifying. Clara grappled with the reality that she was falling for him, yet the thought of introducing him fully into her and Emily's lives brought an unsettling mix of excitement and fear. One evening, as Clara prepared for another picnic with Daniel, she caught sight of Emily sitting on the couch, her sketchbook in hand. She was drawing, her brows furrowed in concentration. Clara approached, her heart heavy with the weight of unspoken words. Hey, what are you working on? Clara asked, trying to keep her tone light. Emily looked up, her eyes brightening. It's a new project for art class. I'm drawing our house. That's wonderful. I can't wait to see it, Clara said, smiling. But as she watched Emily, a pang of guilt struck her. Would her daughter understand the growing feelings between her and Daniel? Would she support it? Later that night, as Clara and Daniel enjoyed their picnic under the stars, she couldn't shake the feeling of unease. They talked and laughed, sharing stories that made their hearts race, yet Clara's mind was elsewhere. The stars twinkled above them, a beautiful backdrop to a moment that felt like magic. But in the depths of her heart she wrestled with the implications of their relationship. Is something bothering you? Daniel asked, concern etched across his features. Clara hesitated, weighing her words carefully. I want to make sure that Emily is okay with everything. She means so much to me. Daniel nodded, understanding flickering in his eyes. I can imagine it must be tough for her. But we can take our time, let her get to know me better. I'd never want to come between you two. His words soothed Clara and she felt a flicker of hope. Perhaps they could navigate this together. But as she looked into his eyes, she knew the path ahead wouldn't be easy. Love was never straightforward, especially when it involved family dynamics. As summer began to fade into autumn, Clara found herself at a crossroads. Daniel had become an integral part of her life, but she still felt the weight of uncertainty regarding Emily's feelings. She decided it was time to introduce Daniel more fully into their lives, hoping to build a relationship based on trust and understanding. One Saturday afternoon, Clara invited Daniel over for a family dinner. She spent the day preparing a feast, roasting chicken, whipping up creamy mashed potatoes, and baking a rich chocolate cake for dessert. The kitchen was filled with mouth-watering aromas and Clara's heart raced with anticipation. When Daniel arrived, he brought a bouquet of wildflowers, a thoughtful gesture that made Clara's heart swell. They shared a warm hug and Clara felt a sense of comfort in his presence. As they set the table together, Clara caught sight of Emily observing them from the hallway, her expression a mix of curiosity and apprehension. Everything smells amazing, Clara, Daniel said, his eyes sparkling with appreciation. Thanks. I hope Emily likes it too, Clara replied, glancing toward her daughter. As they sat down to dinner, Clara could feel the tension in the air. Emily picked at her food, glancing up occasionally to study Daniel with a cautious gaze. Clara tried to engage them in conversation, but Emily's responses were short, her mind clearly elsewhere. Do you like to read, Emily? Daniel asked, trying to break the ice. Yeah, I guess, she replied, her tone flat. What's your favorite book? He pressed, determined to connect. Emily hesitated, then muttered, I don't know. It changes all the time. Clara's heart sank. She could sense Emily's discomfort, and it made her ache for her daughter's approval. After dinner, as they moved to the living room, Clara decided to change the atmosphere. Why don't we play a board game? Clara suggested, hoping to lighten the mood. Emily shrugged, but Clara could see a flicker of interest in her eyes. They set up the game and Daniel's easy laughter slowly began to fill the room. Clara felt a glimmer of hope, but Emily remained guarded, responding with half-hearted enthusiasm. After a few rounds, Clara sensed the growing frustration in Emily. "Mom, can I talk to you for a second?" she said, her voice edged with urgency. Clara exchanged a glance with Daniel before nodding. They stepped into the kitchen and Emily crossed her arms, her expression serious. "Why did you invite him over?" "I don't like this." "Emily, please. He's a good person. I want you to get to know him," Clara said gently, hoping to calm her daughter's fears. "I don't care. It feels like you're replacing Dad," Emily burst out, her eyes shimmering with unshed tears. Clara's heart shattered at the raw emotion in her daughter's voice. "I would never replace your dad. I just want to find happiness again, and Daniel makes me feel good. But what about me? What about us?" Emily pleaded, her vulnerability laid bare. Clara knelt down, taking Emily's hands in hers. "You are my priority and I promise you that will never change. We can figure this out together. You don't have to feel alone in this." Emily's walls slowly began to crumble as she nodded, tears spilling down her cheeks. "I just miss how things used to be." "I miss that too," Clara said softly, pulling her daughter into a hug. "But we can create new memories. It doesn't have to be just one or the other." The conversation marked a turning point for Clara and Emily. From that day forward, Clara made a conscious effort to prioritize their mother-daughter time, while also allowing Emily to warm up to Daniel at her own pace. Daniel understood and respected Clara's decision, offering space while still being a supportive presence. He often reached out to Emily, asking about her art and stories, encouraging her creativity without pushing too hard. Clara could see the gradual thawing of Emily's walls, and she felt a sense of relief. One sunny afternoon, Clara decided to host a small art and writing workshop at the bookstore, inviting Emily to join. Daniel offered to assist, bringing his artistic flair to the event. Clara hoped it would be a way for them to bond, something that could bridge the gap between the two most important people in her life. As the event unfolded, Clara watched in amazement as Emily transformed before her eyes. The workshop buzzed with creativity, laughter filling the air as participants immersed themselves in their projects. Daniel encouraged Emily to share her work, and Clara felt her heart swell with pride when Emily stood up, her voice shaking but filled with determination. "This is a poem I wrote," Emily said, her eyes darting nervously around the room. "It's about finding your voice." As she read, Clara felt tears prick at her eyes. Emily's words were poignant and powerful, resonating with everyone present. Daniel's supportive gaze never left her, and Clara could see the spark igniting between them, a bridge being built through shared passions. After the workshop, Daniel approached Clara, a proud smile on his face. "Emily did amazing. She has a real talent." "I know," Clara replied, her heart swelling. "I'm so proud of her. Thank you for being so supportive." "I care about both of you," Daniel said, sincerity etched in his features. "I want to be a part of your lives, but I understand if it takes time." As they talked, Clara felt a warmth spreading through her. Maybe they could build a family, one that included laughter, love, and shared stories. However, life has a way of throwing unexpected challenges. Just as Clara and Emily began to find their footing, an unexpected storm approached. One evening, Clara received a call from her sister Lisa, who lived across the country. "Clara, it's Mom. She's in the hospital," Lisa said, her voice shaky. Panic surged through Clara. "What happened?" "She collapsed. They think it's serious. You need to come." Clara's heart raced as she made arrangements to fly out, the weight of worry pressing down on her. She was torn. Leaving Emily behind with Daniel felt like a monumental decision. But she knew she needed to be there for her mother. Before leaving, Clara sat down with Emily, her heart heavy. "I have to go see Grandma. It's serious. But I want you to stay with Daniel while I'm gone." Emily's eyes widened. "Mom, I don't want to be alone with him." "You won't be alone. He cares about you and I trust him," Clara insisted, hoping to ease her daughter's fears. "I don't know, Mom." Emily's voice trembled. "Please, I'll be back as soon as I can. You can call me anytime," Clara urged, her voice steady despite her own uncertainty. With a heavy heart, Clara left, taking off into the unknown as her fears for her mother weighed heavily on her mind. During Clara's absence, Emily found herself spending more time with Daniel than she anticipated. At first, it felt forced. She missed her mother and the comforting familiarity of their routines. But as days turned into a week, she began to see a different side of Daniel. He was kind and attentive, always checking in on her. They started sharing stories and laughter over meals, finding common ground in their love for art and literature. Daniel encouraged Emily to explore her creativity, suggesting they create a mural in the park together. As they painted, Emily felt the weight of her worries begin to lift. Daniel's presence was soothing, and she started to see him not just as her mother's friend but as someone who genuinely cared for her well-being. "I really like this color," Emily said, mixing paint on a palette. "Me too. It reminds me of the ocean," Daniel replied, his enthusiasm infectious. As they painted together, Emily began to share her thoughts on her poetry and art. Daniel listened intently, offering encouragement and constructive feedback that made her feel seen. In those moments, the tension between them began to fade. But still, a part of Emily worried about her mother's return. Would things go back to the way they were? Would she have to share her mother's love and attention forever? After several days, Clara finally returned home, her heart heavy with the uncertainty of her mother's health. She had received news that her mother was stable but still needed time to recover. As she stepped through the front door, she felt a mixture of relief and anxiety. "Mom," Emily called, rushing into her arms. Clara hugged her tightly, feeling the warmth of her daughter's embrace wash over her. "I missed you so much," Clara said, her voice choked with emotion. "Did you see Grandma?" Emily asked, pulling back to look into Clara's eyes. "Yes, and she's doing okay. We just need to give her time to heal," Clara reassured her. As they settled in, Clara noticed the subtle changes in Emily's demeanor. She seemed more relaxed, her walls less rigid. "How was everything while I was gone?" Clara asked, trying to gauge Emily's feelings. "It was okay," Emily replied, glancing toward Daniel, who stood in the doorway, a friendly smile on his face. Clara could sense the tension in the air. "Thank you for taking care of Emily while I was away," she said, looking at Daniel with gratitude. "Of course. She's an amazing artist," Daniel replied, his eyes warm. That night, as Clara tucked Emily into bed, she sensed an opportunity for connection. "You and Daniel seem to have fun together," Clara said, brushing a strand of hair from Emily's forehead. "Yeah, we painted a mural," Emily said, a shy smile crossing her lips. "Really? I can't wait to see it," Clara replied, her heart swelling with pride. "Maybe we can all go together tomorrow," Emily suggested, her enthusiasm bubbling to the surface. "Absolutely. I'd love that," Clara said, feeling a renewed sense of hope for their family dynamics. The following day, they all visited the park together to admire the mural. As Clara and Emily approached, Daniel beamed with pride, pointing out the intricate details they had painted together. "I love how you captured the waves," Clara said, her heart full. Emily's face lit up with joy, the tension from earlier dissipating in the face of shared creativity. "Thanks, Mom. It was fun working with Daniel." Clara exchanged a glance with Daniel, a silent understanding passing between them. They were becoming a family, one built on love, creativity, and shared experiences. As the sun set, casting a golden glow over the park, Clara felt a sense of peace wash over her. She knew the journey ahead wouldn't be without its challenges, but they would face them together, two hearts beating as one, ready to embrace whatever came next. As autumn settled over the town, Clara and Daniel's relationship flourished. They found solace in each other, and their bond deepened with every shared moment. Emily, too, began to embrace the changes in her life. She found herself opening up to Daniel more, sharing her thoughts and dreams, realizing that he was a source of support rather than a threat. One crisp afternoon, Clara decided to host a small gathering for friends and family to celebrate their new beginnings. She spent the day preparing, her heart fluttering with excitement and nerves. When guests began to arrive, Clara felt a mix of warmth and anxiety. Daniel helped her set up, moving through the kitchen with ease. He was a natural at connecting with people, and Clara admired how effortlessly he made everyone feel comfortable. As the evening progressed, Clara watched as Emily interacted with their guests, her laughter echoing in the room. Clara felt a swell of pride. Her daughter was blossoming in front of her eyes. "Clara, can I show you something?" Emily asked, her voice filled with excitement. "Of course, what is it?" Clara replied, her curiosity piqued. Emily led Clara to the living room, where she had displayed a series of her recent paintings. Each piece captured a moment, fragments of their life together, infused with emotion and color. Wow, Em. These are incredible. Clara exclaimed, tears of pride filling her eyes. Daniel joined them, his expression filled with admiration. You have a real gift, Emily. I'm so impressed. Emily beamed, the validation igniting a fire within her. Thank you. I've been inspired by our time together. In that moment, Clara felt a sense of unity. A family built on love, creativity, and shared experiences. She looked at Daniel, seeing the warmth in his eyes, and knew they were on the right path. As winter approached, Clara, Emily, and Daniel began to forge their own traditions. They spent weekends exploring local markets, hosting movie nights, and engaging in art projects. Clara's heart felt fuller than it had in years, yet she knew there were still challenges ahead. One chilly evening as they sat by the fireplace, Clara felt a sense of apprehension settle in. Can I talk to you both about something? She began, her voice steady. Of course, Daniel replied, his attention focused on her. Emily looked up, curiosity etched across her face. I know things have been going well, but I want to make sure we're all on the same page. This is new for all of us, and I want to be sure we're comfortable with where this is headed, Clara explained, her heart racing. Daniel nodded, understanding her concerns. I care deeply about both of you, and I want to take this at a pace that feels right. Emily added, I'm okay with it too, Mom. I like having Daniel around. It's different, but it feels good. Clara felt a weight lift off her shoulders. Thank you both for being open with me. I just want to ensure that we're building something together as a family. As the fire crackled, they spent the evening sharing their thoughts, hopes, and dreams. Clara felt a renewed sense of excitement for the future. One filled with love, creativity, and the promise of new beginnings. As the holiday season approached, Clara, Emily, and Daniel decided to create new traditions together. They decorated the house with twinkling lights, baked cookies, and attended local festivities. Each moment felt like a thread weaving their lives together into a beautiful tapestry. On Christmas Eve, Clara prepared a special dinner, inviting friends and family to join them. The atmosphere was filled with warmth and laughter, and Clara couldn't help but feel grateful for the journey they had taken to reach this point. As they gathered around the table, Clara raised her glass. To new beginnings and the family we are creating together. Emily and Daniel clinked their glasses with hers, their smiles brightening the room. Clara felt a rush of joy, a sense of belonging that had eluded her for far too long. After dinner they exchanged gifts. Emily handed Daniel a carefully wrapped package, her eyes sparkling with anticipation. Open it, she urged. Daniel unwrapped the gift to reveal a beautiful sketchbook. Wow, this is amazing. Thank you, Emily. I wanted you to have a place to create. You inspire me, Emily said, her cheeks flushed with pride. Daniel's expression softened, and he leaned in to give Emily a hug. I can't wait to fill this with our adventures. Clara watched the exchange, her heart swelling with happiness. In that moment she realized that they were not just blending lives. They were building a family, one founded on love, support, and shared experiences. As the new year approached, Clara reflected on the changes in her life. She had discovered a love she never expected, and her bond with Emily had only grown stronger. Together with Daniel, they faced challenges with grace and determination, embracing every moment as a family. One sunny afternoon, Clara and Emily sat outside, sketching together. Clara looked at her daughter, who was lost in her art. I'm so proud of you. You've come so far. Emily glanced up, a smile lighting up her face. Thanks, Mom. I feel different, happier. Clara felt a warmth spread through her. I'm glad. We're in this together no matter what. As they continued to draw, Clara felt the future stretch before them, full of possibilities, laughter, and love. They would face whatever came their way, side by side, creating a beautiful life together. And as Clara looked at Emily and then at Daniel, she knew that their journey was just beginning, one filled with love, laughter, and the unbreakable bond of family. As spring blossomed, Clara, Emily, and Daniel settled into their new routine, but the tranquility was soon disrupted by the arrival of unexpected news. Clara received a call from her estranged sister Megan, who had moved away years ago after a family rift. Clara, I need to talk to you. It's important, Megan said, her voice shaking. Clara felt a knot form in her stomach as memories of their tumultuous past flooded back. After some hesitation, Clara agreed to meet Megan. That evening she shared the news with Daniel and Emily, who listened intently, Are you sure you want to see her? Daniel asked, concern etched on his face. I don't know. There's a lot of hurt between us, but I feel like I need to try, Clara replied, her voice wavering. Emily, sensing her mother's unease, said, You deserve to know what she wants, Mom. Just be careful. The following week, Clara met Megan at a small cafe. The moment she saw her sister, a rush of conflicting emotions flooded her: love, anger, and a deep-seated sense of betrayal. Megan, Clara began cautiously, taking a seat across from her sister. Thank you for coming, Megan said, her eyes darting nervously. I've missed you, Clara. Why now? Clara asked, her voice firm. After all these years? Megan took a deep breath. I know I hurt you and I'm sorry. But something happened and I need your help. It's about Mom. Clara's heart raced. What do you mean? What happened to Mom? She's been diagnosed with a serious illness and she's alone. I can't take care of her and I think she needs you, Megan confessed, tears welling in her eyes. Clara felt the ground shift beneath her. The complexities of family and the pain of their past loomed large, but the thought of her mother suffering was unbearable. I don't know if I can just forgive everything. There's so much history between us. Megan nodded, her expression pleading. I know. But we need to put the past aside. For her sake. As Clara returned home, she felt torn between her sister and her mother, the weight of responsibility heavy on her heart. Daniel sensed her turmoil and wrapped his arms around her as she paced the living room. What happened? He asked gently. Megan's back. She says Mom is sick, Clara admitted, her voice trembling. Daniel's brow furrowed. What do you want to do? I don't know. I'm angry, but I can't ignore my mother's needs, Clara replied, feeling trapped. Emily, overhearing their conversation, interjected. Mom, you should at least talk to Grandma. She deserves to know what's happening. After a restless night, Clara decided to visit her mother, hoping to hear the truth from her own lips. The hospital room was stark and cold, a far cry from the warmth she remembered. Her mother looked frail, the years of their estrangement etched into her face. Clara, sweetheart, her mother croaked, her eyes lighting up with a mixture of relief and regret. Mom, I'm here. Megan told me you're sick. Clara began, but her mother interrupted. I didn't want you to worry. I thought I could handle it, she replied, her voice weak. Clara felt anger flare up. You should have told me. We could have faced this together. I didn't want to burden you. I thought you were happier without me in your life, her mother said, tears welling in her eyes. As they spoke, Clara realized the depth of their wounds and the fragility of their family ties. The past was painful, but maybe it was time to rebuild. I want to help you, but I need to know you're willing to be honest with me, Clara said, her voice softening. Over the following weeks, Clara visited her mother regularly, forging a tentative bridge over the chasm of their past. They shared stories, laughter, and tears, slowly mending their broken bond. Meanwhile, Megan remained a constant presence, trying to support their mother while also seeking Clara's forgiveness. Emily found herself drawn into the drama, feeling protective of her mother. Are you sure you can trust her, Mom? She asked one evening, concerned about Megan's intentions. I have to believe she's sincere, Em. We can't keep holding on to the past forever, Clara replied, though doubt gnawed at her. Daniel stood by Clara, offering his unwavering support. You're doing the right thing. Family is complicated, but love can heal, he reminded her. As Clara navigated the complexities of her family dynamics, she found herself at a crossroads. Her mother was improving, but the scars of their past lingered. Clara had to decide whether to embrace her sister fully or to keep her at arm's length. One evening, Clara gathered her family for a dinner to celebrate her mother's recovery. The atmosphere was tense as they shared the meal, each person grappling with their own fears and hopes. Clara, I want to make amends, Megan said, breaking the silence. I know I messed up. I just want a chance to show you I've changed. Clara glanced at her mother, who nodded, encouraging her. Maybe it's time to forgive, her mother whispered. As Clara weighed her options, she felt the love surrounding her, the warmth of Daniel, the loyalty of Emily, and the tentative bond with her mother. Perhaps forgiveness was the key to their future. In the weeks that followed, Clara chose to embrace her sister, realizing that healing the past could lead to a brighter future. They worked together to support their mother and began to rekindle their relationship, slowly learning to trust each other again. As spring turned into summer, Clara found herself feeling lighter, the weight of unresolved conflict lifting from her shoulders. Emily and Daniel spent more time together, creating art and laughter, intertwining their lives with newfound joy. One evening they gathered at the park where Emily and Daniel had painted their mural. The sky blazed with colors mirroring the vibrancy of their renewed relationships. "I'm so proud of how far we've come," Clara said, looking at Emily and Daniel. Emily grinned. "I think we're finally a family." Daniel took Clara's hand, squeezing it gently. "Together we can face anything." As the sun dipped below the horizon, Clara felt a profound sense of peace settle within her. They were no longer just surviving. They were thriving, ready to embrace whatever adventures lay ahead. As summer approached, Clara felt a surge of excitement for the future. They began to plan a family trip, a chance to create new memories together. Clara hoped that the journey would solidify their bond and allow them to explore new horizons. "Where should we go?" Emily asked, her eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. "How about the coast?" Daniel suggested. "We could explore the beach and visit some art galleries." Clara's heart soared at the thought of a fresh start. "That sounds perfect. Let's make it a real adventure." And so, with the weight of their past behind them, Clara, Emily, and Daniel embarked on a journey filled with love, laughter, and the promise of new beginnings. A family united, ready to embrace the future together. Clara sat on the edge of her bed, the weight of the recent revelations pressing down on her. The confrontation with Emily had opened old wounds, but it had also started a path toward healing. Just as she felt a sense of relief, her phone buzzed with a notification. It was a text from an unknown number. "We need to talk about Emily." Her heart raced. Who could this be? Clara's mind flooded with possibilities. Could it be someone from Emily's past, or perhaps a warning from the same voice that had called before? The uncertainty gnawed at her, and she knew she couldn't ignore it. Clara decided to respond. "Who is this?" she typed, her fingers trembling. Moments later, the reply came, "Meet me at the old diner at 7 p.m. It's about her. With every minute that passed, Clara wrestled with her fears. The diner was a relic of her youth, a place where she had shared countless milkshakes and laughs with friends. But now it felt like a trap. As the clock struck 7, Clara steeled herself and drove to the diner. The neon lights flickered as she stepped inside, scanning the room for any sign of the mysterious messenger. She spotted a figure in a booth at the back, their face obscured by shadows. "Clara?" the figure called out, and she recognized the voice immediately. "Daniel?" she replied, disbelief washing over her. "What are you doing here?" Daniel looked weary, his eyes lined with regret. "I didn't want to drag you into this, but it's about Emily. She's in danger." "What do you mean?" Clara asked, her heart racing. "Remember the night she went to that party? She met someone who has a history of causing trouble. I thought it was just a fling, but now I've learned things that concern me. She's not just dealing with emotional fallout. There's something more sinister at play." Clara felt a chill run down her spine. "What are you saying?" "Emily is being watched. I've seen it myself. Someone is following her, and it's not just a coincidence. We need to protect her." Clara's mind whirled with the implications. Could this be linked to the call she received? "Why didn't you tell me sooner?" she asked, feeling anger bubble up. "I didn't want to alarm you without proof," Daniel replied, his voice earnest. "But I've been keeping tabs on the situation and I think it's escalating. We need to work together." Determined to keep Emily safe, Clara and Daniel devised a plan. They would monitor her activities, ensuring she was never alone. Clara felt a mix of emotions, anger, betrayal, but also a flicker of hope that perhaps they could still be allies for Emily's sake. The next day, Clara approached Emily with caution. "Can we talk?" "It's important," she said, trying to mask her anxiety. Emily looked wary but agreed. They sat down at the kitchen table and Clara took a deep breath. "I want you to tell me everything about that party. Who did you meet? What happened?" Emily's eyes widened. "Mom, it was just a party. I met a guy, but it wasn't serious. I swear." "Is his name Jake?" Clara pressed, recalling Daniel's mention of trouble. "Because I've heard things about him." Emily hesitated, then nodded slowly. "Yeah, but I didn't think it was a big deal." Clara exchanged a glance with Daniel, who stood at the doorway watching. "It might be a bigger deal than you realize. We're worried about your safety." "Why? What do you know?" Emily asked, confusion and fear mingling in her voice. "Someone's been watching you," Clara confessed. And I think it has something to do with Jake. We need to be cautious. As they spoke, Clara noticed a flicker of unease in Emily's expression. I didn't want to worry you, she admitted. But I did feel like someone was following me after the party. I thought it was my imagination. Claire's heart sank. It's not your imagination. We need to take this seriously. We can't let you be alone until we know you're safe. Emily looked between her mother and Daniel, uncertainty swirling in her eyes. What do we do? First we stay alert, Daniel said. And I'll help keep an eye on you. We can come up with a plan to make sure you're never alone in public places. As they strategized, Clara felt a renewed sense of purpose. They were no longer just a fractured family. They were united against a common threat. But as the evening wore on, Clara couldn't shake the feeling that they were racing against time. The following days were filled with tension. Clara, Emily, and Daniel worked together to keep a watchful eye. Each time Emily left the house, Clara felt a knot of anxiety twist in her stomach. One afternoon, while running errands, Clara spotted a familiar figure lingering in the parking lot. A man with dark hair and a leather jacket. Her heart raced as she recognized him as Jake. Determined to confront the situation, Clara approached him. "What do you want with my daughter?" she demanded, her voice steady despite the fear bubbling inside. Jake turned, surprise flashing across his face. "I didn't mean any harm. I just wanted to talk to her. I care about Emily." "Care about her? Or is it something more dangerous?" Clara challenged, her protective instincts flaring. Before he could respond, Emily emerged from the store, her face lighting up at the sight of Jake. "Mom, what's going on?" "Stay back, Emily," Clara warned, her gaze locked on Jake. "This isn't over." Emily looked confused, torn between her mother and Jake as the tension in the air thickened. Clara knew they were on the brink of a confrontation that could change everything. Emily poured her heart into the mural project, gathering a diverse team of local artists. Clara watched with pride as her daughter transformed the once blank wall into a vibrant canvas reflecting the town's history and culture. Each brushstroke told a story, and with every meeting, Clara saw Emily's confidence blossom as they worked together. Clara shared snippets of her manuscript and Emily offered feedback. It was a beautiful exchange of creativity, and Clara felt grateful for the new layer their relationship was gaining. They laughed, shared dreams, and embraced the challenges of their projects, building a camaraderie that had once seemed distant. One evening, as they painted under the glow of string lights, Emily turned to Clara. "Mom, I feel like we've come so far. Do you think we can really move past everything that happened?" Clara paused, considering her daughter's question. "I think healing is a journey, not a destination. We'll have our ups and downs, but I believe we're on the right path." Emily nodded, a thoughtful expression crossing her face. "And what about Daniel? Do you think he deserves another chance?" Clara took a deep breath, contemplating Daniel's impact on her life. "I don't know yet. I'm still processing everything, but I know he played a significant role in my journey." As weeks passed, Clara found herself wrestling with her feelings for Daniel. She had seen him only in passing, but his presence lingered in her thoughts. One day she decided it was time to confront her feelings head-on. She texted him, suggesting they meet again to talk. When they met at the cafe, the tension was palpable. Clara's heart raced as Daniel approached, his face a mixture of regret and hope. "Clara, I'm really glad you agreed to meet," he said, his voice earnest. "I needed to," Clara replied, her tone steady. "I've had time to think about everything and I want to hear what you have to say." Daniel took a deep breath. "I'm so sorry for how everything unfolded. I made terrible choices and I hurt both you and Emily. I wish I could take it all back." Clara met his gaze, searching for sincerity. "You hurt us deeply, Daniel. Trust doesn't come easily, especially after what happened." "I understand," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "I'm not asking for your forgiveness right away, but I hope we can find a way to rebuild some form of connection. I've been working on myself, trying to understand why I did what I did." Clara considered his words. "I appreciate your honesty, but I need time. I'm still healing." Daniel nodded, understanding her need for space. "I'll be here whenever you're ready." Back at the mural site, the community was coming together in support of Emily's project. Local businesses donated supplies and the excitement in the air was palpable. Clara and Emily worked tirelessly alongside their team, creating something beautiful that would stand as a testament to their town's spirit. during one of their painting sessions, Clara noticed a group of teenagers watching intently. They approached, curious about the mural's significance. Clara and Emily invited them to join, encouraging their creativity and ideas. As the teenagers contributed their own elements to the mural, Clara felt a sense of fulfillment. This project wasn't just about healing for her and Emily. It was also about bringing the community together, forging connections, and inspiring others. One evening while taking a break, Clara looked at the mural, now nearly complete, and felt a wave of pride wash over her. "This is more than just paint on a wall," she said to Emily. "It's a reflection of our journey and a symbol of hope for everyone." Emily smiled, her eyes glistening. "And it shows that we can rise from our struggles together." As the mural neared completion, Clara felt a renewed sense of purpose. She had finished her manuscript and was preparing for submissions, hoping to share her story with the world. It was time to embrace her voice and reclaim her narrative. The day of the mural unveiling arrived, and the community gathered to celebrate. Clara stood beside Emily, both beaming with pride as they unveiled the stunning artwork. The mural depicted a vibrant landscape, intertwined with symbols of resilience, love, and the beauty of second chances. After the unveiling, Clara spoke to the crowd, her heart full. "This mural is a testament to the strength of our community and the bonds that hold us together. We all face challenges, but together we can rise above." As applause filled the air, Clara felt a sense of closure and hope. She looked at Emily, who was glowing with pride, and then scanned the crowd, feeling a surge of gratitude for the support surrounding them. Months later, Clara's manuscript had been accepted for publication. As she prepared for her book launch, she reflected on how far she and Emily had come. Their bond was stronger than ever, rooted in understanding and love. One afternoon while setting up for the event, Clara received a message from Daniel. He expressed his happiness for her success and his continued support. Clara felt a warmth in her heart. Though they were not yet back to where they once were, the door to reconciliation was still open. At the book launch, surrounded by friends, family, and the community, Clara shared her journey through her writing. She spoke candidly about loss, redemption, and the power of forgiveness. As she looked out at the faces in the crowd, she realized that every challenge had shaped her into who she was today. As the night wound down, Clara stepped outside, breathing in the cool evening air. She felt a sense of peace settle over her, knowing that while life would always hold uncertainties, she was ready to embrace whatever came next. With Emily by her side and the community's support, Clara felt ready to face the future. Together they had weathered the storms, emerging stronger, and now they were prepared to paint the next chapter of their lives. Vibrant, hopeful, and full of possibility. Thank you for joining me on this journey. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe for more tales of love, passion, and adventure.